Cipro or something like that.
I'm traveling Cipros if I'm going to like the jungle.
Just tell them you're going to Bhutan.
Bhutan.
You're worried
hey,
you might. You've been to Bhutan.
I've been to Bhutan, and they made me leave because they didn't have any medicine. They were like, "You're sick, and you need a real doctor." No, that is true. That's exactly what happened. They're like, "Oh, you should get on the next plane." But
My sister was kicked. Oh wait, so what you're saying is a corpsman was kicked out of Bhutan because we got too sick.
We got too sick, and they couldn't treat me.
Here we are, and welcome to an aquatic version of the Friday Night Movie Podcast, where we are going to submerge ourselves on an adventure to Atlantis and talk about Aquaman. I am joined today by my sister Becky.
Hello, hello.
How's California?
It's finally sunny. The rains are over, and it is a beautiful, sunny Northern California day.
And because schedules have been so crazy, Lily is not joining us today, but we are being joined by someone
who looks like Lily.
Well,
why do you have to make it weird?
Because it's true. Also, it's not because schedules are crazy, it's because she has bronchitis.
Oh, and she has bronchitis, and schedules are crazy. But my wife, Mrs. Pancake herself, Alli, is here. Welcome.
Sugar-free pancake, right in the house.
Broccoli
like a whole
pancake.
grain,
The broccoli.
A buckwheat
Salad pancake.
with.
Is there a salad-flavored pancake? That's the one that Alli has. And Alli and I the other night, because of Becky's amazing recommendation, we watched Aquaman. And we enjoyed it, I would say, right? We enjoyed it overall?
Yeah.
Oh, yay.
But it doesn't mean that we were not left with an enormous amount of questions. And Becky,
I feel like it's a personal choice to have questions. Like, you can choose to be like, wow, I have a lot of questions about this movie. Or it could be like, that doesn't really matter.
So much suspension of disbelief.
So, first of all, you know, one thing that is so important to me about movies is them delivering on their promises. And the promises of Aquaman were made to me by you, Becky. And I don't exactly remember what it was, other than that you had a lot of fun, and I had a lot of fun. So that is my general reaction.
Fun, yes. The promise it should be delivering on is one of fun, not one of seriousness or importance or logic. Just fun.
Exactly. And speaking of which, Becky, sorry, you're not. Sorry. Uh-oh.
You can edit that in post.
No, it's got to stay.
That's fine. We
Becky,
know which sibling you wish you were talking to.
Speaking of which, can you just tell the listeners what Aquaman is about?
Can anyone really do that?
It is about an under-the-sea kingdom with several fish creature people. I don't know what they are because they're like, okay, it's about an under-the-sea kingdom, and one kingdom is meant to marry another kingdom. Is that somewhat right? And like the princess mermaid fish lady escapes, comes onto land, falls in love with a human, has a son, and then is captured by her evil kingdom and disappears, and we think she's dead. Her son grows up to be kind of like a demigod, but not God, like a demi-fishman.
He's kind of like a hipster superhero / like bartender. I don't know. It's sort of like
he's not a bartender. He's like a I don't know, not a pirate, like a seaman? Does that?
I don't think that any of those are accurate.
But he's like a reverse pirate.
I think here's why I'm having a hard time explaining the plot. Like, I can explain the plot of there's this guy, Arthur, and he's half human, half sea creature with godlike powers. You know, these like very powerful sea creature people.
Who were once above the ocean, but eventually like, yeah,
must be
I
the
feel
story
like
of
that was
Atlantis.
explained at one point.
Yeah, for
They were
sure.
above the ocean, but then they developed
right. And
They're,
now
like,
some of them
super
can't like breathe
civilized.
above the ocean. Anyways, but the point is that in a typical hero's journey, he has to, kind of come to terms with his powers and his abilities and be this reluctant hero to a kingdom of people that he has never met and has, no connection to, and kind of have and become this savior of sorts.
So it's a little bit like the Lion King. So what you're saying is
it's any hero's journey.
So Earth. So just
Very
so people
classic.
understand, Earth and the bar that he gets drunk and his dad with are like Timon and Pumbaa.
I feel like we're just getting into the weeds here. Like, I was trying to explain the whole backstory of his mom and how he came to be, and the problem with doing that is that I don't understand how the undersea world kingdom works. Like, it's a kind of, maybe it's like a little bit like Game of Thrones, where you have like King of the North, King of the Sea, King of, you know what I mean?
No, there were 7
It was like a bunch
kingdoms.
of,
They
it was
all
like very.
had to...
Wait, listen to Alli. Alli clearly was taking
I
notes.
paid attention. There were 7 kingdoms. I think Atlantis was like the strongest of the. I don't really know the history of Atlantis that well, but like
It's not a real place.
Are you sure? He would beg to differ. He's the king of Atlantis. So they were like warring and different factions, but then at some point they had to have like a quorum. Like that was made very clear.
Right,
There had to be a quorum of undersea kingdoms who agreed to like attack the people above.
You're right. There was a parliamentary procedure thing going on for a big part of the beginning of
the point
Canadian.
is that the undersea kingdoms have decided to band together, for the most part, and destroy the land people. So that would be us. And Arthur, who's this half human, half Atlantean,
a mudblood,
if you will.
Yeah, exactly, has to. He goes on this hero's journey to realize his true power and place as the rightful king of Atlantis and save the human world by battling I keep wanting to say fish world, but they're not fish. I mean, they're
some of them
sea
are
creature
fish,
world.
by the way.
Some of them are like fish people, some of them are people, some of them are people who can only breathe underwater, some of them ride giant seahorses. Like, there's a lot.
I feel like you're bearing the lead.
But again, I feel like we are getting into the weeds by trying to explain the plot. Like, there's no real point in trying to explain what this movie's about.
Why are we not talking about Dolphin Amber Heard? That is like by far one of the most entertaining parts of the whole movie.
I want to get into casting. Is that a thing we'll be discussing?
Yeah. Why don't we start at the top? Let's start with Jason Momoa.
Love. There's not enough love for me to express how much I love him in this role.
Look, he looks like he looks like another alternate version of The Rock, so you know he has my vote. Like, I'm already in. When he's got tattoos, he's giant.
It's the fact that he is so charming. I don't know why it surprised me, but I loved how charming he was. And I also feel like out of everyone in the movie, out of everyone who made the movie, he's the only one who understood it. He got it. He got what the whole tone was supposed to be, how the audience was meant to feel. I feel like he connected with us.
I think you raise a really good point, because everyone else, I feel like they were pretty serious. Like they
thought they were in Avengers Infinity War. And he is like, no, this is Aquaman. This is not meant to be that good.
All I kept thinking the whole time was this was a movie that literally was mocked throughout all of Entourage. Like, I can't believe we're actually watching the real Aquaman after all these years of lead up.
That is so fun.
That is so I'm with you on Jason Momoa. I think he has yet to get the movie that really is befitting of his true sense of humor and charm. This was up there because I think this movie, the guys making the movie clearly got it, and he's played Aquaman in the Justice League, which I hadn't seen yet, but he has that wit and that sense of humor that kind of gets that he's from.
Listen.
It's almost like he's from our world, so he kind of is in on the joke of what the heck is going on here.
I think it's like the first time we really see him, or one of the first times we see him in the movie. It's this shot. I think it like pushes in where it's a shot of him from the back, and it pushes in on him, and he whips his hair, and he throws his head over his shoulder, and he just goes, "Permission to come aboard." And I feel like that's it, baby. Like that's it. That's the joke. That's the movie. He got me. Like from that moment in, I'm like sold. I love you. I'm gonna love everything you do in this movie.
And I feel like if you had seen the same performance at the Magic Mike show that you guys went to, it would have been the same exact scene, and you would have just as much bought in.
I didn't even think of drawing that connection, but now it makes sense why I loved him and this movie so much, because it was like if Magic Mike did Aquaman. There we go.
So I think Momoa is charming, hilarious. He gets the joke. I walked away from this thinking, because I'm all in on the Shazam that's going to be with Zachary Levi that's coming out soon.
100%.
That forget all this Batman and Superman moping around talking about their mother Martha, and let's get Momoa and Zachary Levi in a movie together, because that would be like Thor and Hulk when they put them in Thor Ragnarok together. Like that is on screen.
Perfect.
Chemistry.
You know that Thor is my least highly ranked of all the Marvel. I'm like, the man has a hammer, people. Let's bring it up a notch. It's fine.
He has godlike powers,
and a hammer.
To be clear, he has an axe now, as of the end of
he has to learn how to be strong without his hammer.
I mean, that's a lesson we can all carry through our day-to-day life, right? It's got a lot of levels. So I have deep issues with Amber Heard, and I would like to share those before I have to depart. She was the least entertaining, least likable part of that movie. It took me like 15 minutes to realize who she was, and then I was like, really? We're giving her parts? Whoa! I just brought it back to Magic Mike. She's also in Magic Mike.
Yeah, Magic
Mike.
She's
in Magic Mike too. She's the like cranky
beach friend that he makes on the way down.
Photographer.
On the way down to Orlando or Jacksonville.
Yeah,
or
like
Tampa,
the pseudo beach, like the pseudo deep
in Magic Mike
photographer
2.
friend.
Not OG Magic Mike.
I mean, I've only seen Magic Mike 2 like 4 times as opposed to the
I just listen. I don't mean to speak poorly of anyone, but she leaves no impression on me.
No, she just was like in a vinyl swimsuit, like mermaid suit the whole time, being flat and kind of uninspiring.
So how much of that, Beck, is a director on a director versus casting versus performance?
I don't know. I feel like in this case, truly, in some cases you can really break it down and blame one over the other. But this feels to me like equal thirds across the board.
You know who I would have liked to have seen in that role, who I think tonally would have been better, and I think I
feel like I'll be sad if you tell me, because then I'll just be thinking about how much better that part could have been.
I think if they recast Amber Heard in the sequel, which
they should,
like no one would notice.
No one would notice.
Isla Fisher.
Ooh, she'd be
oh my God. Yeah, like obviously, put her in everything. She's so funny. Like that would have been, because I feel like he needed someone he could have had a comedic rapport with. It was like he was acting next to a doorpost.
Yeah, I mean, she might be very talented, but I don't think it was.
This was not her part.
Well, no, but maybe she's very talented, but I don't think she was the right fit for the tone of that movie. And then on top of that, they directed her. She sometimes was funny, sometimes was serious.
Sometimes it was like zany and kooky. I'm gonna eat these flowers.
And I'm not sure she really committed to being in that. Whereas I feel like someone like Isla Fisher would feel the responsibility of being in a comic book movie and get it. And with that, we're going to thank Alli, who has to go back to and I am using air quotes here, parenting our children. And thank you for joining us.
Your kids are like tiny adults. They're fine.
They may or may not be roaming around the neighborhood at this point. I was like, guys, I'm going to podcast. Try not to leave the house. All right.
Family that podcast together. Look, this is everything we have to do to keep them off the show. One day they will be on the show, but we told them they're too young at this point. So we've gone through casting. Now let's talk about...
No, we haven't gone through casting.
No. Let's go through the next casting question.
Oh, okay.
Let's talk about Man Bun Willem Dafoe.
I really need to talk about Willem Dafoe, and here's my problem. I love Willem Dafoe in everything. I love him. He's truly one of my favorite actors. I feel like he's so underused, so underused. He really deserves to just be in, I want to see him in everything. But there was something off about it, and I wonder if it does come down to the directing, because I feel like the director let Momoa be campy and goofy and sweet and charming, but then Willem Dafoe, who's quite a dramatic actor, was like, no, I'm taking this part very seriously, and the director must have been like, oh, well, you're Willem Dafoe, so you definitely know what you're doing.
So this is
and
where
I feel like they were acting in two different films.
This is where I may not blame the director, and where I would say that there is this crutch that superhero movies rely on, which is, oh, we need to have an old mentor character. Let's get an Oscar winner. It's almost like the Obi-Wan Kenobi crutch.
Well, this is part of like the part of the hero's journey is that they need to be like a reluctant hero, and they have a mentor who comes in and shows them the way and trains them or gives them their confidence boost or whatever is needed so that they can then go on and complete the journey. So I get what Willem Dafoe's character is meant to be.
I get the character. It's the casting part.
But here's the thing, that we know Willem Dafoe can do zany and weird and funny. Hello, remember Boondock Saints?
Oh, he's
the whole
amazing
ending with the cross-dressing. I mean, he could do something really elevated with this part, and I feel like they just kept it in this very narrow space where it was like, this is just going to be a serious, dramatic role.
And so what's funny is that I kept expecting a twist with his role. I'm like, maybe he's working secretly with blonde Patrick Wilson. I kept telling Alli there's going to be a twist, and I'm like,
but it was just so boring. Where at the end, blonde Patrick Wilson's like, you're secretly against me. You're going in jail, like, or whatever they did to him. It was like completely uninteresting. You know?
Yeah, they didn't really, and I don't understand what the bun was for.
No, I don't know. I guess it's, I don't know. But anyways, I was underwhelmed, and I was disappointed with not with his performance. I think he's a great actor, but I guess with the choices that were made for that performance. And that's what I'm saying, is that I don't blame him. I don't think he did a poor job with it. I think he was just kind of kept in this very narrow role, like you said, to be the, serious mentor.
And he was phenomenal as the Green Goblin in that first Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm saying, he's incredible. He can bring it. I feel like they didn't let him bring it.
Yeah, exactly. They were like, nope, just be a boring, serious Oscar winner to give this gravitas. And for Aquaman, there was a scene with sharks with laser beams fighting seahorses that were like chariots. Yep. How serious were they going to make this movie?
This is not a movie with gravitas. This is not a movie with gravitas.
It should just be like a movie that's fun. Yeah. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the manta, the Black Manta character.
So many bad guys in this movie.
There's a lot of bad guys.
Keep track of them. And his motivation was thin at best.
Yeah, and I get that he's a traditional supervillain of Aquaman, like dating back to the 60s. So he's relevant. I mean he's relevant in they were throwing someone in there, but not only did they spent a lot of time on his motivation, and
they spent a lot of time on him making his costume. Like, again, I don't care where his no part of me when he shows up in that costume is like, whoa, how did he make that? That's not important.
Yeah, I think they made his costume as much like the original comics as possible, which sometimes you're just like, huh, like least threatening bad guy.
Yeah.
And they had to explain to us, they were like, we need to make his head giant, like the original Black Manta. Okay, so if we're going to do that, we need to explain why we would do something so ridiculous.
First a scene of him getting an original costume that's like 4 minutes long. Now we need another 7-minute scene of him doing experiments on the costume and rebuilding it. I'm surprised they didn't do another whole chapter of the movie explaining when he learned chemistry and how to and robotics and it was a lot of backstory.
And I also
Lily
don't think
would have loved it. Lily would have loved the backstory.
I also don't think that they revisited this, although maybe it's for the sequel. I don't think that they really, maybe I missed this, but I felt like they were setting up a whole point about mercy and how Aquaman, by not showing mercy to Black Manta when he's in his original precarious situation and letting his father die creates this terrible villain. And they never really begin that. They never really bring that back as a now Black Manta, spoiler alert, survives at the end of the movie despite having his head exploded. And he's floating away. Yeah, that's the after credit scene is him floating away and being found by some fishermen or something. And I feel like, okay, well, maybe we're setting this up, but to me I felt like, were they really confident Aquaman was going to have a sequel such that they needed to, like, why did everyone have to spend all this time setting up sequels? Why can't they just tell the story and it be so exciting that you want to hear more about that character's journey and not drop like these over...
Because I gotta tell you, as far as like having another bad guy, I don't need Black Manta coming back. I think he wasn't that cool of a bad guy. He wasn't that interesting. His backstory didn't really matter. I don't know why I need more of him as the bad guy. I'm sure they
but his giant laser head was
something special.
See, the giant laser head costume to me fit the tone of the movie, but the backstory was oddly serious.
Right? Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's uneven, and I think Jason Momoa got what this movie was supposed to be, and he executed it the absolute best. And then there's just all these other things that just make it very uneven. But I'm not here to criticize it, because like I said, I don't really want to overthink it.
Well, that's it. So it was super enjoyable. The humor was great. The action was fun. It was like almost like an animated adventure at certain points. When they were underwater and they were fighting, it was like an animated adventure. I think I enjoyed Patrick Wilson as the kind of pretty boy,
I had no problem with him.
guy.
I thought he was actually like, it was surprising to see him in the movie, but I was like, all right, that feels like, you didn't want to get a super big shot, and he was probably reasonably priced, and he's a good enough actor. Did a great job as the Aryan brother.
And Nicole Kidman as his mom, I thought I don't know how much money they paid her, but she wore maybe one of the most ridiculous costumes I've ever seen in a movie when they go and they find her in the Badlands or the Trench World.
I had no idea she was in this movie. When I saw her, I was flipping out. Also, you mean when they go find her in Jurassic Park? There are literally dinosaurs flying around there.
But there was this whole bit at the beginning, which is almost like a tribute to Splash, where she is a mer person, and I thought she sold that so well. As she was not phoning it in. I thought she was really funny, and I really believed that she loved the father, who's played by Tamora Morrison, who is the guy who played Jango Fett and all of the clones in the Star Wars movies. So
cool.
So I actually really, and I loved him as the father. I thought he was funny, and the kind of bro relationship between Arthur and him, Aquaman and him, was really cool.
For sure.
And there wasn't an unnecessary killing of Aquaman's parents in the movie, which is great because I thought they were actually charming older actors that they threw in the movie that I'd like to see more of Aqua Family and what they're up to. Like I want to see a
prequel of like baby Aqua Arthur.
Yeah, but with Jason Momoa's head photoshopped on it so we can have his sense of humor. Maybe an animated junior Aquaman adventure.
Or maybe he just like has a kid and it's like him with like his kid.
Now, another great casting in the movie was Dolph Lundgren as that was an amazing casting. Dolph Lundgren as Amber Heard character's dad with like the flowy underwater beard, like the King Triton kind of look, was amazing because Dolph Lundgren, like, he knew he had to play serious, but because he's Dolph Lundgren, we also know that like, okay, Ivan Drago is floating underwater right now, people. This is amazing.
You can only take it so seriously.
Like, the only thing I missed was him saying "Release the Kraken" or something like that. That would have been awesome. But he was really fun, and I really loved what they did with his character, because his character is a character that had morals, and even though he made some bad choices, he makes good choices at the end. It reminded me a little bit of Black Panther.
Here's the thing. Don't you feel like as far as the morality of all the underwater kingdoms and their motivations, it's like they didn't really spend that much time on any of it. It's like I disagree with you. I agree with you. I disagree with you. You know, it was like, I don't know.
I think he
for amount of time they spent on backstory, I could have used a little bit more there.
There was so much exposition in this movie. Every conversation between Amber Heard and Aquaman were these like lengthy explanations of like myths of Atlantis, and then not only that, the 5 other kingdoms and the fishermen, they came from this, and the crab king came from there. And,
oh yeah, crab people. I forgot about that.
And let's be clear. Patrick Wilson commits straight up regicide. He goes and executes one of the kings.
Yeah, man. Right?
It was
That was super shady.
It was wild, but I think this one was a lot of fun, and it's in a little bit it's like the first Thor, where the first Thor, what's his name? Hemsworth is so good as Thor. The rest of the movie is like, what is this? All right, fine. And then made the second Thor, like, what is this? But we've got gold with Hemsworth as Thor.
Right. It's sort of like he shines best, you know, in these as part of the. It doesn't say he shines best. I love Ragnarok. Like that was fantastic. But he also does really well as part of the ensemble, you know, the Avengers. And so I see what you're saying. Like, let's just stick Aquaman in a bunch of other movies because he's super fun.
Yeah, or give Aquaman a different plot. Like, send Aquaman to space in the next movie. There's no water in space. That'll be a huge challenge for him.
But how will he commune with the whales?
Yeah, his ability to talk to whales was awesome.
I love that part. You know, recently, some guy, I think it was like a kayaker, I forget what it was, some guy got like half swallowed by a whale. That actually happened. He got stuck in the jaw of...
No, but was he okay?
Google it. It's a real story.
All right, so that was an amount of time spent talking about Aquaman that is only 1/5 the length of the movie. But in general,
1/10.
In general, if you are looking for a fun, the definition of a Friday night movie is Aquaman.
100%. Like, get some snacks, make some popcorn. It's gonna be fun.
And what else are you watching lately, Beck?
Well, you know, like I said during the pre-show, my daughter is sick with a fever and an eye infection and a cold, and so we're not watching a ton, but I have been, when I have a minute here or there, I've been watching Working Moms, and I just finished The Letdown, and now I'm watching Working Moms, and I would say, you know, I'm a year into it or so with a kid, that shit is funny. Those shows are hilarious. I tried watching them right after Miri was born, but like The Letdown, but it was too fresh, and I couldn't get it. Like, I couldn't deal with it. But now that I'm deep enough into it, I'm very, very much enjoying both Working Moms and The
I'm
Letdown.
a huge fan of Catherine Reitman.
Yeah, she's great.
Ivan Reitman's daughter, Jason Reitman's sister. She's so funny in Always Sunny in Philadelphia
so funny.
What's her name? Ponderosa.
Yeah.
The on and off love interest of Dennis. And I'm really glad to hear that she kind of has her thing that is... I haven't watched it yet.
Really, really great. It's a wonderful... she's got like a wonderful voice and perspective. It's really well done. So I've been enjoying that. I also finished Bodyguard, which I had talked about in our previous episode. And I would say I still really liked it. I had a lot of issues.
The sister did it, just like in the original.
No, Shai.
Just like
stop trying to predict it.
No, I'm just using the Kevin Costner Whitney Houston movie as the example. It was the sister.
Anyways, I had a lot of issues with the first half of the last episode where I thought I was going to actually pull my hair out. I was so frustrated by the writing, but I would say overall I still really enjoyed the season. So, finished The Bodyguard, and now I've been watching Working Moms after finishing The Letdown. I feel like I'm in a good place, and I'm kind of catching up on my Brooklyn Nine-Nine, my Goldbergs, you know, doing all that.
Well,
Wait. Sorry, no. I got more. I have more.
Okay.
So, a few weeks ago, I got Vlad to watch Free Solo. He was like, palms were sweating the whole time, loved the movie, and since then we have been on a kick of watching all these climbing documentaries. And did I tell you this? I watched this movie called Dawn Wall. So good. if you've seen Free Solo, there's another climber that's in it, Tommy Caldwell. He's the one that's like training Alex to climb El Capitan. And so this is a documentary about Tommy, and it's so good. It's from a few years ago. Highly recommend that one. And then we watched another one. I can't remember the title, so can't recommend it. But it's another one about climbing that was pretty cool. But so much for that.
Cool. So those I will probably not see most of those, but they sound awesome.
Especially the one that I couldn't remember the name
Well, that's
of.
fair. You've done me a favor by not giving me the name.
I'm doing
And I'm loving Doom Patrol on the DC Universe. It's really a shame that I mean, I think the DC Universe platform is cool because I'm a comic book kid, and it has tons of DC Universe stuff that I never really immersed myself in. But the shows like Doom Patrol and Titans, like, they need to find another way for people to watch those shows, because I recommend people signing up for the service, but I don't see people realistically signing. Everyone has a streaming service right now. It's nuts, and I don't.
Are you still paying for the DC one?
Yeah, because I like Doom Patrol now. So I paid for Titans. I paid it to see if I had Titans, and now Doom Patrol's on. So I'm watching. I don't know how many other people are, but Doom Patrol is a really cool show, and I mentioned this to Lily the other day. Brendan Fraser voices the character of Robot Man.
Right.
And
but he's not in the show.
Well, he's in it in flashbacks. But here's the thing: that character. So Doom Patrol
the Brendanaissance.
Yeah. So
I'm ready for the Brendanaissance.
So what I want to just say about this show is that this is a show where it's like motley crew of unlikely heroes become heroes, and so it's your typical misfits who aren't a team that become a team, like Avengers but crappier powers. But he plays this guy who has essentially lost all feeling in his body, and he's metal at this point. Kind of like makes me think of RoboCop, the true sort of the original RoboCop, the depth of that. And he's this guy who's struggling. He brings a depth to what should be a goofy show that I'm really, really enjoying. He is by far the most interesting part of that show. So I don't know where anybody would watch it, but get a free trial of DC Universe, and in a week knock out Titans and Doom Patrol, and you will be really happy.
Just get more Brendan Fraser in your life. You know?
Maybe go back and watch some School Ties or Airheads, one of my all-time favorites.
Airheads. Hello, George of the Jungle, obviously.
And what's it
Mummy?
called?
How great was he in The Mummy?
What's
the first
one?
Mummy?
The first two Mummies are fantastic.
With Rachel Weiszman and Brendan Fraser.
Rachel
and the
Weiszman,
one that...
who are you just naming people from camp at this point? Rachel Weisz?
Oh, right, whatever. I'm tired. I literally slept 3 hours in the last 2 days. It seemed Jewish enough.
Now, what about...
Rachel Weiszman, yeah.
Rachel Weiszman, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like,
I'm so tired. Oh, man.
And Brendan Rosenberg, and how many other... what other Jews are you putting in the Mummy? And what was another one? What was the one that he was in... With Honors?
Yeah, With Honors, yes.
Which had...
Wasn't
Maura
Joe Pesci in that?
Moira Kelly, Joe Pesci,
and who are the other guys in it?
Dempsey plays the charming friend.
Is it Patrick Dempsey?
I think so, like Patrick Dempsey in a supporting role.
Wow, I'm gonna have to go back. And Lily loved With Honors. Oh, that was like one of her movies.
I remember liking the With Honors soundtrack. I remember the movie not being as good of a movie as I wanted it to be.
It probably wasn't. I mean, realistically.
Yeah. So With Honors, 1994. Oh, what a period.
What a year. Yep. Empire Records. What else came out that year? I don't know. Clueless. It's all like around that. Maybe that was 96.
I don't know. All right. So, Beck, with that, where can people follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter at PaperBKPrincess. That is the Paper Beck Princess.
And you can follow me at Pancake and the number 4 table, Pancake 4 table on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow all of our shenanigans at FridayNightMoviePod.com. Please like and review and share. Tell a friend about this podcast. And come see us. It's getting close, under 100 days to All-Star Comic-Con. we will have a table there, and we will be hanging out and taping segments for the show, and people will be invited to participate. It's going to be really fun. So that's in Tyson's Corner, Virginia. Check out their website and buy tickets. And the music from What Does It Eat will kick in, and we will dance, and we will see everybody next week. Bye-bye. Love you.
Bye. Love you.